August 1944, southern France. A German general is looking at the Scottish commando standing in front of him. Kilt, hat, walking stick, 3 more soldiers behind him. The general asks, "How many troops do you command?" The Scotsman answers, "Enough to destroy your entire division if you don't surrender." Now, think about this. The general has 23,000 soldiers, 1,000 vehicles, artillery, tanks. You know how many guys the man in front of him has? 4 people. But the Scotsman keeps going. "I'm in direct radio contact with London. I can call down the RAF at any moment. Your entire column will be wiped out before nightfall." The general hesitates. He looks at his staff officers. The Allies are advancing from all sides. Maybe surrendering to this confident British officer is better than getting crushed between American and French forces. "Very well," he says. "We surrender." 23,000 German soldiers, 1,000 vehicles, surrendering to 4 guys. Why? Because that Scottish commando, Lieutenant Colonel Tommy Macpherson, had something the Germans didn't: the ability to lie with absolute conviction. Oh, and he was wearing a kilt, in the middle of occupied France, while bluffing an entire German division into surrender. His radio didn't exist. His RAF contact, imaginary. His army, 3 guys. Macpherson later wrote, "The clincher was when I told him I could call up the RAF to blow his people out of sight. In truth, the only thing I could whistle up was Dixie, but he had no way of knowing that." This is the story of the most decorated British soldier you've never heard of. The man who fought World War II wearing a kilt. The man who convinced 100 Germans to surrender using fake machine gun sounds. The man who escaped Nazi prison camps. The man who protected the Pope from communists. Tommy Macpherson, the kilted killer. The UK's greatest living war hero, and the man who proved that in war, confidence is deadlier than firepower. Tommy Macpherson was born March 16, 1920, in Edinburgh, Scotland. Aristocratic family, private schools, Edinburgh Academy, Fettes College. But Tommy wasn't just some rich kid. He played on Scotland's national rugby team. International level, physically powerful, mentally tough. When World War II broke out in 1939, you know what he did? Volunteered, joined the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders, Scottish Infantry Regiment, and got sent to North Africa. As an officer, reconnaissance man, this is where the story gets interesting. North Africa. Macpherson is on patrol, behind German lines, gets captured, sent to a prison camp. What do most soldiers do? Wait, hope the war ends. What did Tommy do? Escaped. How? We don't know exactly, but he escaped. Got recaptured. Escaped again. This time they sent him to a high-security camp in Italy. He escaped again. The Germans were losing their minds. Who is this crazy Scotsman? But they didn't understand this. Tommy wasn't escaping to go home. He was escaping to keep fighting. Every time he'd break out, link up with resistance fighters, keep sabotaging German operations. In a kilt. Always in a kilt. Early 1944. Tommy finally made it back to England. But he didn't stop. He joined the SOE Special Operations Executive, Churchill's secret army. The mission? Parachute into Europe. Organize resistance groups. Create chaos behind German lines. Macpherson's assignment? Southern France. Train and lead the French resistance. Cut German supply lines. Prepare the ground for D-Day. June 1944, he parachuted into France. Full gear, weapons, ammo, explosives, and a kilt. Yeah, a kilt. Why? Because Tommy Macpherson was Scottish. And if you're gonna fight a war, you're gonna do it with style. He spent months in France behind German lines, trained the Maquis, French resistance fighters, taught them sabotage, ambush, guerrilla tactics. They blew up bridges, sabotaged railways, attacked German convoys, and Tommy always led from the front. One time, I love this. One time they decided to attack a German garrison. Problem, they didn't have enough men. What did Macpherson do? He rigged the machine guns to sound like heavy weapons. The Germans heard it. They thought, A large force is attacking. 100 Germans surrendered. How many men did Tommy have? 4. 4 guys scared 100 Germans into surrender with fake sounds, but these were just warm-ups. The real story would come in August 1944. August 1944. The Allies broke out from Normandy, spread across southern France. The Germans panicked, ordered retreat. But there's a problem here. General Botho Henning Elster commanded 23,000 soldiers, mostly from Atlantic Wall garrisons, scattered across western France. They got the order, retreat to Germany. But how? The Americans are coming from the south, the French from the east, the British from the north. They're surrounded. Elster decided, march east along the Loire River, then north to Germany. Long journey, dangerous. And Macpherson got word. 23,000 German soldiers moving in a single column. Now, if you were him, what would you do? Report it. Tell the higher-ups. Hope someone else deals with it. You know what Tommy did? I decided to go take their surrender, he said, with 4 guys. His team was Macpherson, commander, 2 French resistance fighters, 1 British radio operator, 4 people. They found an ambulance. Old, beat up. Macpherson thought, this'll work. The plan was simple. Approach the German column, find the German general, demand they surrender. If they say no, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But the trick? Never show doubt, never hesitate, lie with absolute confidence. The ambulance approached the German column. Soldiers saw it. Red Cross marking, told them to stop. Macpherson got out. Full Scottish Highland dress, kilt, tam o'shanter hat, swagger stick. The Germans were confused. Is this a Scotsman? In France? Wearing a kilt? Macpherson spoke German. Not perfect, but good enough. I need to speak with General Elster. The soldiers looked at each other. This guy has presence, confidence, authority. Maybe he really is someone important. They took Macpherson to the commander. General Botho Henning Elster was an experienced officer, but he was old, tired. The war was lost. Macpherson sat across from him. I'm here to accept your surrender, he said. Elster laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. Who are you? Colonel Macpherson, British forces. I command all Allied forces in this region. Lie. How many soldiers do you have? Macpherson paused, just the right amount of time. Enough. Vague, but threatening. You have 23,000 soldiers, Elster said. That's right, Macpherson said, and I'm in direct radio contact with the RAF. Lie? I can call in an airstrike at any moment. Your column will be destroyed before sunset. Elster's face changed. The RAF, British Air Force. 23,000 soldiers stuck in a column with no escape route, in open terrain. If bombers come, it'll be a massacre. But, Macpherson continued, if you surrender, your men will be protected under the Geneva Convention. Honorable surrender, POW treatment. They'll survive. Silence. Elster looked at his officers. The officers already knew. The war was lost. Getting back to Germany, impossible. Maybe this British officer was right. Where's your radio? Elster asked, critical moment. Macpherson didn't hesitate. In the ambulance. Lie. There was no radio. Can I see it? No, military secret. Audacity, pure audacity. And Elster believed him. Why did he believe him? Because Macpherson never blinked, never hesitated, never showed weakness. He was lying, but he said it with such confidence it seemed real. And Elster was tired. The war was lost. His soldiers wanted to go home. Maybe this was a way out. What are your terms? He asked. Macpherson answered immediately. He was ready. You'll lay down all weapons, surrender in an orderly fashion. You'll be treated as prisoners of war. Officers can keep their swords. Honorable terms, Elster thought, then nodded. Agreed. 23,000 German soldiers, 1,000 vehicles, surrendering to 4 guys. But wait, it's not over, because now Macpherson had another problem. What was he going to do with 23,000 German prisoners? He had 4 guys, he had an ambulance, he had no radio, he had no army, just a giant bluff. Macpherson told Elster, "March your troops north along the Loire River to the town of Beaugency. American forces will accept your surrender there." Another lie. He had no idea if American forces were there, but he had to say something. Elster agreed. And the crazy part? The German column marched, for days, along the Loire. Macpherson led the way in his ambulance, 4 guys leading 23,000 Germans. At one point on the road, French resistance fighters saw them. Germans coming, they prepared to attack. Macpherson stopped them. "These are prisoners, my prisoners. Don't touch them." The resistance fighters couldn't believe it. This crazy Scotsman captured 23,000 Germans by himself? Yeah, he did. When they reached Beaugency, American troops were there. Coincidence? Luck? Macpherson's brilliance? We don't know. But it worked. The American commander was shocked. "Where did these come from?" "They're my prisoners," Macpherson said. "I'm turning them over." 23,000 Germans. A record. The largest single surrender to one officer in history, with 4 guys, 1 ambulance, and 1 massive lie. Macpherson later wrote, "The clincher was when I told him I could call up the RAF. In truth, the only thing I could whistle up was Dixie, but he had no way of knowing that. That's simple. Lie. Say it with confidence, never back down. And sometimes, the enemy can't see your bluff." The war wasn't over for Tommy. He stayed in France, worked with the resistance, then transferred to Italy. There was a new mission there. Nazi Germany was defeated, but there was a new threat: communism. Italian communist partisans were targeting Catholic leaders. Macpherson's job? Protect them. Yugoslav communist leader Josip Tito was trying to take parts of Italy. Macpherson stopped him. How? Bluffing again, diplomacy, threats, intimidation, and always that kilt. The war ended. Tommy Macpherson went home. What did he win? Military Cross, plus 2 bars, won it 3 times. Légion d'honneur, France, Croix de Guerre, France, 3 times. Papal knighthood, Vatican, knighted by the Pope. The UK's most decorated living soldier. After the war, he studied at Oxford, worked in the timber business. Successful career, quiet life, got married, had kids, never bragged, never played the hero, just lived a normal life. Died in 2016, age 96. Military honors at his funeral. But most people still don't know his story. Here's what Tommy Macpherson's story tells us. War isn't always won with weapons. Sometimes it's won with confidence. Macpherson didn't attack 23,000 Germans with 4 guys. He lied to them. But he said it with such confidence, such authority, they believed him. There was no radio, no RAF, no army, just one Scotsman wearing a kilt who never hesitated and who could look the enemy in the eye and say, "Surrender or you'll be destroyed." Think about that. General Elster had 23,000 soldiers. Macpherson had 4. But Macpherson had something Elster didn't: the discipline to never break his bluff. Sometimes in life, you can't win with math. Sometimes strength isn't enough. But confidence, absolute, unshakable, never-breaking confidence. That changes everything. Tommy Macpherson knew this. That's why he fought in a kilt. Because he wanted to. That's why he captured 100 Germans with fake sounds, because he knew he could. That's why he walked up to a general and lied. Because the enemy would never figure it out. And it worked. 23,000 people surrendered. The bluff was never exposed because Tommy Macpherson never blinked. There's a quote from him. He wrote in his autobiography, "The clincher was when I told him I could call up the RAF. In truth, the only thing I could whistle up was Dixie, but he had no way of knowing that. That's simple. Lie. Say it with confidence. Never back down. And sometimes the enemy never sees your bluff. Now I'm asking you, could you stand against 23,000 soldiers with 4 guys? No, I couldn't either. But Tommy Macpherson did because he never broke his bluff. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe. Every week we rescue forgotten heroes from history. Drop a comment, would you have bluffed or would you have run? Thanks for watching. Thanks for remembering Tommy Macpherson. Never underestimate the Scots, especially if they're wearing kilts.